When you think about resentment, first thing you want to answer is, why should we even break free from it? So a lot of people, when we get resentful, and maybe this is you this morning, this has been me at certain times in my life, the resentment almost becomes therapeutic. It almost becomes like a drug of choice. The resentment, you use it, you replay the tapes in your minds, and the more you think about how you were wronged and why you were wronged and the way that you were wronged, I know it causes pain in your life, but it's almost as if you're so used to the pain, you're so used to that righteous, that indignation in your spirit, that it almost becomes therapeutic. And so that you may be here this morning and say, why do I want to get rid of resentment? Resentment is actually working for me. It's almost therapeutic. And so if that's you this morning, I just want you to know that even though it may feel therapeutic, it isn't. Even though it may feel like it's satisfying certain needs, it's actually eating you alive. How do you know if you're resentful? You look into your life, anytime you've become resentful. I look at my life when I've been resentful at different times. One of the things that changes, one of the red flags to know whether or not you're resentful, is when your occupation changes. When you go from being whatever you are, a banker or a teacher or whatever you are, you shift from that and you turn into an archaeologist, a relational archaeologist. You know what I'm talking about? A historian, someone who goes back in history and you figure out everything that there is to figure out bad about the person who hurt you. So you figure out, what cuss words he used in the 7th grade. You get all the dirt on him, what girlfriends he broke up with, who hate him. You become an archaeologist, digging up everything that you can dig up on the person who you're mad at. You're watching them like a hawk. You're looking for any little thing that you can use to kind of support your cause about why this person is not even a human being, why he's a terrible person. And you become an archaeologist. And any time that you become resentful, and maybe if you have a friend who is a resentful friend, anytime you get into conversation with that person, almost immediately the conversation goes to when they were offended, how they were offended, why they're right and the other person is wrong, and they become very historical very quickly. You ever heard of marriage counseling? Don't get hysterical and don't get historical. Well, they don't get hysterical, but they get historical, and they go straight to why they were offended, and they can almost describe it in acute detail. They can tell you the shirt that a person was wearing. In fact, I remember speaking with someone who was very upset with me. They told me the shirt that I was wearing, the facial expressions that I made, the very words that I used, tone of voice. I said, wow, you have a really great memory. Well, it wasn't a great memory, it was resentment. And resentment, that's what happens when we get resentful. We get we hone in on that one day, and every day since that day has been a funeral. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 13, he says that love keeps no record of wrongs. Love's patient, love's kind. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Well, resentment is the opposite of love, and that resentment is always keeping a record of wrong. It's always got its little black book out, and it's jotting down every single time that someone does something that is wrong. And if the resentment is really bad, it's not just about what the other person did that was wrong, but you just hate everybody. Anger says, you owe me, you took from me. Resentment says, everybody owes me, God owes me. You just get very upset. You become a very critical person, very quick to see the sins in somebody else's life, but very blind to your own. You become a very self-righteous person, looking down on other people. Everybody has problems except you. Resentful people can often put themselves in the throne, put themselves on God's throne. It's their right to judge. They're the sovereign ones, not God. They're the judge, not God. And they have this justification that I can do that because, hey, I'm resentful and I was sinned against and it's my right. And that's a sign that you're struggling with resentment. And as you get into that resentment and it becomes a prison and the walls go up, it begins to eat at you. Slowly, but over time, eventually you become a very miserable person.